Good morning. Dobar den, Minister Sedlarski. Mr. Hoffman, thank you. Mr. Noel, good morning, everybody. I continue in English. As you see, I'm not Senator Pop, but I should tell you greetings. The good thing is now I can enjoy this brilliant atmosphere I already had when enter the building. Before I entered my political life, and that's not many months ago, it started 4 months ago actually, I was responsible for Wikimedia Deutschland, which is an entity behind Wikipedia, Commons, Wikidata. And even though that's a non-profit organization, as you might know, it is dealing with issues and challenges of classical startups. So I was in charge at that time of a young organization. Wikimedia was founded 12 years ago, and I had to deal with employers much younger than the average age of 40. I had to manage rapid growth. Today Wikimedia has staff of almost 100 people in Germany, and it receives 400 to 500 page visits per month just on the Wikipedia side, so this was a lot to deal with. And I had to work in an international organization. The Wiki World comprises of nearly 300 different language versions, and the team is made up of volunteers, programmers, project managers, marketing professionals from all international backgrounds. So I had very similar opportunities and challenges in the Berlin startup ecosystem you are facing today. I see the USPs compared to San Francisco, and I see Berlin's competitive advantage when it comes to legal and society frameworks. And I know the excitement in the eyes of an American or Russian programmer when they are offered a job in our great city. And I also know the difficulties when those guys, knowing only English at its best, go to the Berlin Bezirksamt for the first time. For years, the annual number of foundings of companies in Berlin has been up to 40,000. The investment bank Berlin estimates that out of these 40,000, there are 500 startups from the ICT sector, and it's still growing. And all are looking for programmers, developers from Germany, America, Russia, Bulgaria, or any other places in the world. In the past few years, Berlin has been attracting more and more big global players as well, and established national companies. They come here to set up digital innovative labs to benefit from the dynamics of Berlin startups ecosystem. You can find Deutsche Telekom, Lufthansa, Axel Springer, Porsche, Deutsche Bank, Cisco, Microsoft, Google. The total numbers of incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces, innovation labs become outdated by the time you try to count them. The most recent lab I found out recently was the Z lab from the company Zeppelin, but after the Z, the alphabet starts from A again, and I just heard that Alba, the Berlin Waste Management Group, will start its lab as well soon. I don't know what's then B, but we figure out probably tomorrow. All of those labs and hubs, link the startups itself, intensively are looking for people who know how to code and who know what Ruby on Rails and Agile really means. And in addition to those, the Berlin startup ecosystem has welcomed more and more venture capital companies in the past few years. Today and tomorrow, you will have the opportunity to hear the idea from these well-known guys here at the startup camps. Berlin is and continues to be the leading VC hub here in Germany. In 2015, the press announced Berlin to be Europe's startup capital. In 2016, only London, Paris, and Stockholm, due to the Spotify deal, outranked Berlin. Berlin has found its place in the top startup metropolis for venture capital, and that's good. Next to private investment, there's a public financial support too by the Investment Bank of Berlin and its equity holding, the IBB Bet. In the founding phase and in the growth phase, there are different programs to provide subsidies, loans, and equity funding. So the IBB Business Support Guide provides an overview of all existing programs. I have the feeling that this guide is growing more extensively year after year. So my advice would be have a look at this if you're seeking for financial support. It's also available in English. I think in German it's called the Förderfibel, but you find it as a business support guide. 3 weeks ago, the global startup ecosystem ranking ranked Berlin in the 7th place worldwide. 2 years ago, it was place number 9. In the category of talents, Berlin ranks in the 5th place. And a major factor, I just can underline this, is the scene of Berlin universities and universities of applied science, like Humboldt University, Free University, Technical University, and others. Every year, dozens of funder teams are established deriving from these institutions. And alongside many others, the German Startup Association also played an important role in strengthening this ecosystem. And they do much more behind this event we see today and tomorrow here at the Startup Camp. And from my side, thank you very much for supporting the scene. It has been a while since Berlin was described as poor but sexy. Especially the creative-minded people felt attracted to this experimental pull of the city and followed the road to Germany's capital. Nowadays, the Berlin startup ecosystem has left this experimental stage behind. And when talking to experienced founders and VC companies, they tell me that Berlin is by far the most mature startup ecosystem in Germany and therefore still sexy at least. The first generation of founders did learn a lot and now will continue to help and support the next generations of founders. Important fact is not every idea and enterprise will be sold for millions and billions at the end of the year. All of us know that some ideas and enterprises will fail. And I have this strong feeling that Berlin and Germany, and I think this is new actually, is just about to learn that failure of an idea is not at all the failure of a person. You find more and more innovators who are just about to take the second or the third chance and win at the end. And what is most important for me is that this change of mindset is now trickling through all the levels here in Germany. And Berlin's signature has been more and more internationally. It's being inter and cross-cultural. We are aware that we need talents from all over the world to foster Berlin's economic power. Berlin stands for freedom of choice, for a welcoming culture, and when looking deeper into the global startup ecosystem report that I mentioned before, I think the number was already said, you find out that 43% of Berlin's founders come from abroad. That's an absolutely high number, and that's only topped by the Valley actually. And this might surprise some of the listeners here who have experiences with dealing with Berlin's administrations. Berlin startups have the 3rd highest visa acceptance rate for foreign applicants at 77% and have one of the fastest processing times too, which is not bad. Nevertheless, we at the Senate of Berlin do know that we cannot just sit and wait and applaud ourselves for things like this. We need to stay proactive and attractive in the so-called war for talents. We want the developers and programmers, the innovators, we want you actually to say yes to Berlin also in 10 and 20 years. It's a fast business. And therefore we are working on making, for example, the vision of an English-speaking Bezirksamt a reality, may it be online, what might be a good idea, or in the real world. At the same time, we cultivate Berlin's own resources for talents. Beginning last year, young teams from university can apply for a Berlin Startup Stipend, which is co-financed by the European Union. And we are just about to prepare the next round. If it sounds reasonable to you, just contact the Founder Support Service, Mr. Hoffmann. You just met here on stage. He's for sure giving you the details how to continue with this. And as I said before, Berlin universities and universities of applied science are first class when it comes to entrepreneurship and to foundings. The latest Gründerradar, an evaluation of these activities, underlines the statements every year. And again, we at the Senate need to think outside the box and beyond. Just this Monday, we celebrated a grand opening of the Einstein Center for Digital Future, which includes 50 additional professorships to foster digitalization in Berlin, and I think that's an important step to make this city more digital. If you read the coalition paper of the Berlin government, you will see we prepare Berlin for a digital and sustainable future. With all the digital initiatives in town, we aim at becoming the German region for field trials with nationwide and global impact. Those We show developers, innovators and creatives here in Berlin you can test your idea, here you can find like-minded peers, and Berlin offers the right context and framework for me. And all this is vital for growing and developing a city. The digital age supports and accelerates the ecological transition as well, which in turn fosters the basic economic development. For example, looking at Germany, we could save 190 tons of CO2 worldwide. This adds up to 9 billion tons when we realize an energy mix that is 100% renewable. To achieve this, we need intelligent applications of grids and intelligent technologies. The same goes for mobility, which is a big issue in a growing and big town here in Berlin. We need creative and intelligent concept for mobile solution to reduce vehicles and, at the end, frustrations of road users. All this will be realized by the help of new and disrupting business models. And Berlin innovators have already been working on that for years. We have here in this town the UREF campus in Schöneberg and other places. To keep attractivity high, Berlin needs to offer additional places for people like you. Places where startups can rise and develop. We do see a growing demand for office space. The vacancy rate is decreasing to only about 3%. And here Berlin provides spaces, future places, we call them, like the UREF, like Cleantech Business Park, like Vista and Adlershof, where young companies can grow. And we try to moderate the competition in land usage we have in this big town, strengthening these future places and also work on projects to provide housing at an affordable prices, which is an issue in a growing city as well. An additional important factor in strengthening Berlin's economy is the link of startups and grown-ups. Berlin Partner, the IHK, Bundesverband Deutsche Startups and other players offer networking events where people can connect with each other, and that's important. Though the Berlin Senate tries to avoid thinking too much in categories like grown-ups, startups, we see Berlin as an ecosystem where all players have their roles and everybody finds a way to benefit. And to be honest, some old players worry when it comes to digitalization as well. And to build success stories for the Berlin economy, we are in close contact to industrial players, to Mittelstand, to SMIs, and to you, actually the Mittelstand of tomorrow. And we do accompany by you on your way, and we need to listen to you. We want to discuss your ideas with us because we want to learn from you and your experiences, and therefore this is an important platform. So, for once again, I welcome all programmers, developers, all innovators, creative minds, women and men in action, all you entrepreneurial enthusiasts. I wish you a very, very, very nice discussion in this not so sunny town today. Great exchanging of ideas and a successful conference, and thank you for listening to me.